Hello and welcome to a new series I'm starting. I'm going to interview some people about their country and ask them about their history, and then I am going to essentially tell what they told me. So if everything's not accurate, well, it should be accurate. It's their own history. Not everything's going to be exactly perfect. We're starting off with Sweden. I hope to get a ton of other countries done. But yeah, that's just basically an introduction to my series. So this is what my channel will be turned into. It'll essentially be a history channel, my hobby. I love history, and I might even do a couple of book reviews on some historical books and that. But yeah, have a good day. Is this thing on? Wow, it is. What a miracle. Okay, cut that. Gustav Vasa. Well, wait. Let's just take a step back here for a moment. Who is Gustav Vasa? Gustav Vasa, an incredible man, was courageous, brave, and willing to make sacrifices. He led Sweden to victory against the Danish rule in 1523. Well, now that we know who he is and why he is so important, let's dive back into the story. What led him to rebel against the Danish rule in the first place? With Swedish and Danish relations already really poor, the bloodbath of Stockholm would do nothing to improve the situation. Not only did it make matters worse for everyone, but many lives were lost in the process. It was a series of executions following the accusation against previous regent Sten Sture the Younger. Sten Sture the Young was accused of heresy by King Christian II. Gustav Vasa's father, who was amongst those who were murdered in the bloodbath, was the main motivation for Gustav to take action. So to sum up the Swedish War of Liberation, the year is now 1520. Gustav Vasa made his way north to Dalnara, a landscape of valleys in northern Sweden, to gather manpower for his rebellion. He was disguised as a farmer to avoid being found by the Danish. The people of the town Dalnara in 1434 learned from a man, Engelbrektsson, a method that would be vital to their rebellion. Not to mention, one of Gustav's relatives chased Sweden's king, Christian I, away from the throne. So to Gustav, it was obvious he needed experienced and supportive men to aid in his crusade. Numerous times, Gustav was chased and attacked by the Danish. But, fortunately for Gustav, his supporters were always there to save him. Later on, Gustav was confronted by the two skiers from Dalnar. They were sent from the town to inform Gustav that the town was in support of him. Shortly after the rebellion was made official, he came across the realization that he had nothing. No military weaponry, at least modern military weaponry, for the time, no artillery or vessels, or any fortifications whatsoever. Gustav began by forming 16 Livvakter units, or I believe the direct translation I was told was lifeguards, I think. Although the issue was he did not have direct control over them. Over the time, his army of strong men grew to over 1,000. They pillaged and conquered many mines in the towns, such as Kopparbergsgruva and Västerås. In turn, this is what caused the Archbishop Gustav Troll and his 200 cavalry to retreat. Gustav Vasa soon took over the entire region of Dalna and was named the Regent of Dalna. Just as quickly, other counties followed suit. They pledged their allegiance to the region. This granted him direct access to the gates of Stockholm in midsummer. He and his army stood near those gates, knowing they couldn't storm it, because it would be a certain death if they did. Because his army was peasants, whilst the Danish' army was professional, trained men. Gustav Vasa's brothers soon joined him, giving him access to the city of Stockholm, and in 1521, Gustav was declared the Hovitsman, or commander-in-chief of the Swedish army. And finally, after starting out the defending forces, at last it came, June 17th, 1523. The last fortifications had fallen in Stockholm, and on the same midsummer day, the last fortresses also fell in Finland. Gustav Vasa led the largest pieces of the war whilst he was uncomfortably far away from the fights, but in the end he was named King Gustav Vasa of Sweden. And that's all I have today. Gustav Vasa and the Swedish War of Liberation. But just how well did Gustav Vasa rule is the real question, which will be answered in the next video. And if you liked this story and want to learn more, like and subscribe, and I'll try to post at least 3 to 4 times a month. And that, boys and girls, is my first episode of Swedish History. Gustav against King Christian. Cut that bit. Gustav Vasa. No. Gustav Vasa's father. No. Was the main motivation for Gustav to take action. Gosh. He was a landscape of Let's sum up the Swedish War of Liberation. So the year is now 1520. Gustav Vasa's made his way to north. No! This is going to be so many cuts. He was disguised as a farmer to avoid being found by. He needed to. Not to mention one of Gustav's relatives. Later on, numerous times. No. Just as quickly. Other countries followed suit. This granted him direct access. Gustav Vasa's. Gustav Vasa's. Gustav Vasa's. Thanks to Connor for helping me and Taylor for editing. Yeah.